Good evening. Welcome to the Red Hook Town Board meeting of June 28th, 2017. Would you be kind enough to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Danielle, I will pop up for you in a moment here as soon as I remember that that's a responsibility of mine. The agenda for this evening, for the folks at home, they can see what we will be discussing tonight. Okay. Very good. All right. So we will start tonight with announcements, and I only have one, but I'm very happy about this announcement, which came out this afternoon from the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard has decided to temporarily suspend any consideration of the Anchorage proposal for the Hudson River. And so they received over 10,000 comments over the course of the last year and change. And so I wanted to, first of all, say this is really terrific news because it was a severe threat to the river and all that we are trying to accomplish in the Hudson Valley. And then again, to thank everyone, especially here on the town board, for your support of resolutions that we had and joining other communities. I want to thank also our other levels of government, our state senator and assemblymen who were supportive. Very much so our town supervisors and mayors, the Dutchess County Supervisors and Mayors Association. In particular, my cohort, Elizabeth Spinzia from Rhinebeck, who joined with me for a resolution opposing this proposal, and we received unanimous support from every township and every village within Dutchess County. Yonkers Mayor Spano, who organized communities up and down the Hudson Valley to join the Hudson Riverfront Alliance. This is really terrific news, and again, thank you all for your good work. We have to thank the environmental groups, Scenic Hudson, Riverkeeper. I'm sure I'm going to forget a bunch. They were instrumental in understanding the science and educating us, and certainly advocating for what's best for all of us in the Hudson Valley. So one announcement, but I think a very important one. So,
is this the permanent end of it, or is this?
well, we believe.
How is it stated?
We believe they are suspending any consideration of the proposal right now. We don't think it's just temporary, but certainly we'll have to be vigilant and pay attention to see what happens. Yeah.
Time out, yeah.
So, very good. It's public comment period now, unless anyone else has any other announcements. Anybody? Okay, we can do them if you think of one during the meeting as well. Public comments? Are there any public comments? All right, hearing none, we'll go right into our agenda. We are fortunate to have with us, not only tonight, but during the daytime hours as well, Hank Van Paris, who chairs our water board. Speaking of water protection and water resources, it's quite timely, Hank. And you are kind enough to join us once a year to give us that annual report update. And so, thank you. It's that time again of the year, right?
For which you wait.
all year with bated breath.
Bated breath.
Does anyone need a copy of the,
We have them in
Thank
our
you all.
packets, Frank. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
and if you, with your permission, I will remain seated. My standing is a little wobbly.
Whatever you prefer, sir.
Okay, so, first of all, Robert suggested that I should have livened this up somewhat with, music videos and dancing, but I'm lucky to maintain a little life in these old bones. Terry, you can testify to that.
Should we wait till the next meeting and when you can get that together?
Well, we'll shoot for the next meeting. Okay.
Well, it's that good water that's kept you so agile all these years.
Clean living.
Clean living,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, the usual structure, our organization, what we did last year, what we're gonna do next year, our water quality, think a little bit about the future, and then our financial overview and the operations summary. Who is involved? Let's see, the second page I skipped, the water board.
Oh, yes, let's not skip them, and I'm putting them on the big screen for Danielle, so the folks at home can,
That'll be the next screen.
what's the next screen? Get to see who's on our water
Okay.
board, so we can thank them as well.
Nick Annis, you all know, is zoning review committee, I think,
The zoning board of appeals, but that's okay.
one of those,
Yeah.
yeah. Larry Carr.
Mhm.
Greg Files has been on the board a long, long time, not as long as I have, but amazing guy. He remembers amazing detail that I've forgotten. And Dick Franklin, I'm gonna have to talk with Dick. He hasn't been showing up for meetings, so he suggested he resign.
Okay.
And joined us, last year, I think. Jerry Gilnack, I'm just very happy that Jerry joined us some years ago because he has so much experience in the water operations business. And then there's me and Carol Little, who does the important work. And our operations folks, VRI Environmental has been operating our system now for 4 or 5 years. Currently, a good man, Fernando Dongo, he lives in Red Hook. I think what is that little street off of St. John, Sism Circle, I think?
That's-
Yeah, he lives in there. So he's very conveniently close
Mhm.
and interested. Carol Little and I do the paperwork, and Carol does the billing. Meter readers haven't changed. Yeah, we added Mark Rowe about a year ago. He had been working for VRI, and I think he's working for the state now. But he picks up a few extra bucks reading meters. Revenue collection, we thank Sue McCann for collecting our revenue, because without her, I don't know where it would go. Okay, 2016 highlights. The first item, not much there. Town Village Interconnect, we used it in 2015. The village tried to use it when Jim's business burned down here, but there really isn't enough pressure to get water up this way without us doing some enhancement, providing pumps. And there was a valve problem, turned out, when they tried to use it, so the village repaired that. We've replaced some walls at the pump house in the filter room. There's been a lot of moisture, a lot of condensation in the summer and other leakage, so the walls were rotting, especially down near the floor. So we used some kind of concrete wall board. Well, we had a problem in 2015. Yeah, was pumping air. We replaced the pump, that didn't do it. Then we tried, we had a rehab, a guy named Boyd Artesian Wells, they're from Westchester somewhere. Anyway, he rehabbed it and it seemed good, but within a month it was pumping air again. So first Henry quoted me, I don't know, $7,000 or $8,000 to rehab it again, but he came and did it and he didn't charge us. I appreciate that. and it works. It's been working fine now for about a year. Facilities inspection, sometimes they find a little something. This time they were just nits, which we've taken care of. Ron Miller doesn't mind coming here because there isn't much to complain about. The Alder Street hydrant we repaired a couple of years ago. It's still not working. We took it out of service. I'll mention it again later. We hired Everhart Tree Care to clear our rights of way, like from our tower over to Route 9G. There's a maybe 30-40 foot path down through the woods, and we clear that every few years. We don't want trees going up to inhibit access to the water main. The other big one is from Fir Street over to Zabriskie Court, what the kids used to call Ghost Road when they rode their motorcycles on it. It's quite long, and again, that's got to be cleared every once in a while. There are a couple other miscellaneous ones, but those are the two big ones. We replaced flushing valves in the pump house. The flushing valves are there so that, for example, we wanted to use them after we had the well rehabbed because of the use of chlorine, excess chlorine in the well. So the flushing valve allows us to divert the water, use the pump, but that don't go through the filters or into the system, just pump it out onto the ground. But those valves could not be operated, either of them, so we had to have them replaced. They used huge wrenches and hammers, and it just wouldn't open. You know, they hadn't been operated in maybe 20 years, so we've I've checked periodically just to see if they've been operating them, because they should operate them every few months. Okay, electrical problems. Back in September, we had to have Boyd well drillers here. They pulled that pump, and wires were burned off, and we thought maybe it was lightning. But then later in December, we had more problems with wires burned and circuit breakers, and so we really suspect the circuit breakers. And so what we've done is arranged with Crawford to do an assessment, and now they're, I should have it tomorrow, prepared a request for proposal to replace the control circuitry. One of the things we're going to do is to add something called variable speed drives for the pumps. What those do is take your 60 cycle input, convert it to DC, and then convert it back to AC at a variable frequency. So we can start the pumps off like at 30 cycles per second instead of 60. And it's a much easier start, less hammer, and draws much less current. The electrical Central Hudson charges you for that demand. Initially, when you start the pumps, you draw a lot of current. You pay for that at that rate for all the electricity you use. So if we can avoid that demand charge, we can save quite a bit of money. We can even save money in normal operation because the pumps will run more slowly and more efficiently. So that's one of the things we're going to add.
Is that both wells?
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
village switched to those a couple of years ago, right? The village switched to that?
Oh, all of their wells are on variable speed. They're variable frequency drives. Yeah, they are. And the rate increase for this year was approved by the town board in December and went into effect 1st of April of this year. So water quality. Again, we're blessed. We have no real problems. Turbidity is fine, especially given our filtering, because we filter, there are 2 levels of filtering, 1 micron, or 5 microns, and then 1 micron. So we don't have much dirt or particle kind of turbidity in our water. Bacteria twice a month, and I don't recall ever finding any. Disinfection byproducts are the byproducts of chlorine, the disinfection in the water lines. And and they build up alicetic acids and trihalomethanes, which are not good, but our levels are pretty good. We've never had a problem. We test sometime in August. That's the typical time of year to test for those byproducts. Nitrate, we just tested, that's okay. Then our inorganic chemicals and the primary organic chemicals, they're listed in tables in the New York State regulation for water operation. Inorganics are the naturally occurring kinds of things that are in the soil. And sometimes you're blessed with a lot of them, sometimes not too much. We don't have a problem. The organics are man-made. Typically, they're pesticides and herbicides. And there was one a few years ago called MTBE. It was a gasoline additive. That was a problem. But no problems. We just got the test results back. I mentioned the annual inspection, which was no problem. Okay, for this year, the normal stuff, just we have a monthly meeting with our operator to review what's happening, quality, the testing, and the operations. And then, as I mentioned earlier, because of a series of problems, we talked to Crawford. They assessed our pump control situation. We took that assessment and essentially handed it back to him, said, yes, we're concerned about these items, and would you put together a request for proposal? And I should have that. I was told that it was ready on Tuesday. So circuit breakers, indicators and switches, there's a number of them on the panel that we don't use anymore. The VFD, variable frequency drive, I mentioned. Check valve, there's something we currently use called a Ross valve. They're manufactured, I think, in Troy. They've been around for a long, long time. Their function is to minimize the hammer when you start up, and they limit the pump, the water flow, the initial flow, so you don't get the extreme surge at startup and shutdown. We can probably use, especially with the VFD drives, we can use something called a check valve, silent check valve. Well, I don't know what it is, but we'll find out. And then our well level monitoring, we haven't had a monitor for, I think it's well 2 in a year. And it just, given that we're going to do this upgrade, we'll upgrade it, and that we'll change the well level monitoring. What we've been using is an air compressor to pump air into the well, and depending on the back pressure, you can tell how the level of the water. And one reason I haven't been concerned about it is our well levels are constant almost, even in dry summer. They hold up very well. Tank inspection, I think you have a resolution tonight. We received 2 bids for cleaning our tank. One of them was about $5,000 and one was $2,500. Surprisingly, go with the $2,500. The other one did include cleaning, but we didn't request cleaning. We cleaned 5 years ago. That was the first time ever, and it really wasn't much, so it doesn't seem as though there'd be anything to worry about this time. The Alder Street hydrant, I mentioned that earlier, but I guess what we'll have to think about is what's it cost to remove it? What's it cost to replace it? We know that a new hydrant cost $8,000 to $10,000. We had to replace one when the school bus hit it on Knox Street. Anyway, so they're expensive, and there are other hydrants in the vicinity close enough so that we shouldn't need a new one there. The tower fence last year, early last year, 3 dead trees fell on the west fence. Didn't collapse it, but broke the barbed wire in the top, broke some of the top bars. So I've had a call into Adams Fencing. I wondered why that guy didn't return my call when I checked the other day. It said he's no longer with the company. So anyway, someone else was supposed to call and maybe did call to set up an appointment. It shouldn't be a big deal. Okay. Storage tank. We'll find out as a result of this inspection what kind of condition the interior of the tank is. If it needs painting, then we have to consider that. Consider the cost of painting versus the cost of replacing, because we've looked into that, not deeply, but somewhat a few years ago, and the cost was not much more to replace it with a glass-lined tank, which would never need painting. So that looks like, if the cost comparisons are still true, that would probably be the way to go. In which case, I guess I would recommend a period of benign neglect. One of our presidents coined that term some years ago, and just use it until it's no longer good to use, and then replace it. And the well 2 that we're going to rehab this year, we'll do that next year, unless it gives us trouble this year. One reason we were going to do it was the 2 wells, have been in service same length of time. They're in the same aquifer, very close together. So if one clogged up, chances are the other will. So we thought we'd do it this year, but with the pump control update, we just put it off. Hoffman Kirchhoff, I think you all know the village is pretty well signed up to take care of that and shouldn't need our help. So that's fine. Okay, financial overview. The operating income has been going up a little bit. We had a rate increase in 2014. You can see the revenue went up about $13,000. We had a revenue increase in 2016. Again, we went up about $14,000 or $15,000. That was helped somewhat by considerable usage by BARD last year. So the rate increases are working. Our expenses, they've been going up too. Well, this 2016 they weren't bad. This year, 2017, they'll be significant again because of the pump control update. But last year we had a revenue over expense delta of almost $26,000. So that goes into what you see on the next page, our reserves. There's an unreserved balance, and that whatever excess revenue we have goes into that unreserved balance until we decide what to do with it. And usually, like last year, we put $30,000, took 30 from that and put it in the transmission reserve. Currently, I just checked with Ann, the current level of the unreserved balance is $84,000. So there's plenty there to cover our pump control update.
But what's the difference in the 2 accounts?
The unreserved balance,
Transmission, I think.
Oh, the two reserves.
Transmission reserve.
Okay, they were initially set up, the reconstruction reserve was set up to cover tank painting, tank maintenance. The other one was earmarked for water main repairs, updates, and maybe anything along the transmission route from the wells to the storage tank to the water mains. So that was the initial thinking. I checked with Ann, and if we were to either paint or replace the tank, money from the transmission reserve could be moved to the reconstruction reserve and used. So we can really view those 2 reserves as one. I wouldn't want to deplete either one, but they're not uniquely allocated to either function. So our reserves looking back over a few years, we're up 30K. Well, that was the one from last year. Hopefully, this year or next year, we can add a little more. Our operations, pretty much the same. We haven't added any significant number of homes. We're up from 44 to 47 now. Hung in at 484 for several years, so we're not growing, which is okay.
We only have a shrinkage of less than 10% too.
Yeah,
which is
the
pretty good.
important number there is water lost, the difference between what we pump and what we build. That's the really important number,
Yeah.
because the village here was losing 40%. That's why they had to update their water main system. And a lot of systems have losses of 20–30%, just old water mains. They
How have
don't-
we done with breakage of mains? I can't recall, ever hearing of anything here.
91. Built operate.
Our percent,
Losses only
yeah,
90%.
build to pump ratio is what I was talking
It's the
about.
opposite, yeah.
Is 10%, 9% difference. Very
But the
good.
village would have got a 40% or so?
Something like that, yeah.
Before the reconstruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what they are now, because they still have a significant section of the village to do.
A couple of phases,
Yeah. So, I think we're in good shape. And that concludes my music list, dance list, color slides list.
Well, I think good news is we're not having a production. I mentioned to Hank last week the new appropriation, new as of almost a couple months ago now, from New York State, the $2 billion water infrastructure money, that the water tank would be an eligible use of those funds. So we'll be getting together with the engineer, the water board. Once this inspection is finalized, the deadline for this year's application was June 23rd. So there was no way we were gonna meet that, obviously. But it gives us plenty of time to be prepared for next year, if that's something that fits in with the timeline,
Right.
so on and so forth.
So the benign neglect will be balanced by when some other funds are available
Right.
to help the town of Red Hook.
Sure.
Yeah, good. Smart.
Well, as always, Hank, thank you very much for managing probably the most important resource we have, and doing it, so fiscally prudently. We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate your patience with me, allowing me to continue with this very, very satisfying little job.
Well, thank you very much. While you're here, Teresa, if you don't mind, if we just jump to 3, and we'll do the, in case there's a question about the water tank inspection. We mentioned that we went out to bid. We've got a couple of estimates on the inspection of the water tank. And we have in front of us the letter from Hank dated June 13 with the 2 bids. Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Group being the lower of the 2 bidders. We also have a resolution, which would be resolution dated June 28th, number 32, thank you, Sue. And this is water, who's our liaison to water board? Is that Jim?
Yep.
Would you be kind enough to read the resolution? Or
Certainly.
summarize?
Yeah. Authorize the town of Red Hook to award a contractor for a water storage tank inspection. Whereas the town of Red Hook has a need for a water storage tank inspection at the town of Red Hook Water Department, the water tank inspection project. And whereas the town of Red Hook has prepared a request for a proposal to solicit qualified contractors for said water tank inspection project. And whereas after review of the responses, the purchasing agent has recommended that Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Company Incorporated be engaged to complete the water tank inspection project. And now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Red Hook that the town of Red Hook hereby awards the water tank inspection project contract to Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Company Incorporated for the inspection of town's water storage tank for the lump sum of $2,500 as set forth in the proposal on file with the purchasing agent. Now therefore be it further resolved by the town board of the town of Red Hook as follows. Supervisor Robert McKeon, or in his absence, the deputy supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a contract for public work with Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Company Incorporated, and substantially the form on file with the purchase agent with such changes as shall not materially affect the substance therefore, and which shall be consistent with the terms of this resolution. The resolution shall take effect immediately.
Thank you, Jim, and do you so move?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, second by Bill. Hank, we might expect results from the inspection when, a month or
Depends
two?
on when they do it. They
Okay.
asked, one of the questions they asked was, do we have a specific time frame? I said
Okay.
no,
Okay.
so we'll find out.
Couple months or so?
Yeah, a couple months.
Okay.
You know, Hank, I had one question on the bid that we didn't because we don't need the cleaning. Inspection and cleaning up to 4 inches, does that mean up to 4 inches of debris that might be accumulated on the walls,
No, on the floor.
on the floor?
Yeah. And when we had it cleaned 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that's about what we had, 4 or 5 inches
Yeah,
over 20 years, you know.
just not much.
No, it's really not much at all, so.
And if they find that we need a cleaning, well, obviously we'll do that as well.
Yeah, or else wait until we have it inspected next time, or wait until
Yeah.
whatever, because it's much more economical to have the cleaning done by the same people when they do the inspection, rather than to have another mobilization there and another
Okay.
operation.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hank, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will
Thank you, Hank.
We will see you tomorrow or whenever you're in town hall next.
Well,
So we can
Thank
jump back.
thank Carol also.
Yes, please, Carol. for
and enjoy your
all her
evening.
good work.
Yeah.
Good work. Jumping back to item number 2 on the agenda is a revised agreement to expend highway funds to now include Williams Road as well. Now that the Oriole Mills project has been scaled down in scope, there's additional funds available to do more repaving. Our highway superintendent has recommended that we use those funds towards Williams Road. And so we have a resolution to that effect. Are there any questions? Teresa's kind enough, as always, to be here with us tonight. Do we have any questions for her? All right. This
Thank you
is-
for the memo, email.
One of many.
Okay, this would now be resolution number 33, dated June 28th, 2017. Harry, I believe you're the liaison. Would you be kind enough to read the resolution for the folks at home? Although we do have it up on the screen, Danielle, if people want to take a peek at that as well while Harry gives us the audio.
A resolution to approve the highway expenditures. Whereas pursuant to the provisions of section 284 of the highway law, monies levied and collected in the town for the repair and improvement of highways and received from the state for state aid for the repair and improvement of highways shall be expended for repairs at certain town highways as provided herein. And whereas attached hereto is the proposal form of amended agreements for 2017 for the expenditure of certain highway monies. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Red Hook as follows. 1, the town board hereby authorize the highway superintendent to spend highway funds in accordance with the attached amended agreement for 2017, including an amount not to exceed $70,000 or resurfacing of Williams Road commencing at the intersection of Williams Road and Starbacks Road and leading to the Mylan Red Hook Town, a distance of 0.9 miles. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Very good, Harry.
So moved.
Second.
Before you move on,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
There should be Williams Road, starting at West Curly Corners Road to the Mylan Red Hook Town line.
So
Star Barrack
Williams Road-
intersects halfway. We're going from one end to our
You're doing
town
our
line.
total length within our township then?
Yes, and that's the 0.9 miles.
So Williams Road, the intersection of Williams Road
I'm
and
sorry,
West
West Curly
Curly.
or East Curly?
East Curly.
East
East
Curly.
Curly, yeah.
So it should read East Curly instead of,
Williams Road commencing at East Curly Corners Road,
Yeah.
continuing to the Mylan Red Hook Town
Okay.
line.
Okay, so Harry, you're amending your,
yes.
your resolution there?
And then, Sue, your.
Well, I think that's what we have here, isn't
It's
it?
on the, it's on.
No,
the
it says Star
agenda.
Barrack, that's wrong.
Oh, the resolution says Starbuck, but the
Right.
agreement does say
Well,
correctly.
the
East
agreement
Curly.
just says Williams, so,
Mhm.
oh, this is different, you
Yeah.
changed it.
Yeah,
Than the
that's
one I
it.
had. No, I know, but I didn't realize you
The agreement
changed the
does say Curly
description.
Corner.
Yeah.
I didn't
East
realize
Curly.
that.
That was
To
one
Mylan
of the
Red
things
Hook.
you were asking.
Town
Okay.
line.
All right,
I didn't
thank
see
you,
that.
Harry, so
Thank
you've
you.
amended it
Yeah.
to match the agreement. There's a second by Jim. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Thank you, Teresa, very much. Resolution passes. We have item number 5 on the agenda is related to,
Did you want to do 4 or?
oh, I'm sorry, 4. I've already skimmed past 4. We're talking about street lights. The audit, as you know, a few months back, we authorized a billing and an inventory audit by Computel. We received the results of that audit, which I've shared with you. They do in fact show that we were being overbilled. Rather interestingly enough, most of the overbilling was the fact that the village and the town were being billed for the same set of lights.
I was
And
Mhm.
well, I was a little surprised, Harry, because we had a map done by our engineers a few years ago showing our lighting district extending into the village.
Mhm. It did.
I guess nobody checked to see who was paying for them, but it turns out both municipalities were paying for the same lights. Nonetheless, we do have the results of that audit, which show that we are entitled to a refund of $15,376, a percentage of which goes back to Computel for conducting the audit. It also places us in the position that we wanted to be prior to acquiring the streetlights. We now have an up-to-the-minute inventory of all of our streetlights and what bulbs are in those streetlights. So I've given you just a couple of the notations from the audit. I've given you the general corporate release. This is something that we need to provide to Central Hudson. By law, we can only ask for a refund for the prior 6 years, and that's what we are doing. And we have a resolution to that effect to sign the corporate release to Central Hudson so they can process our refund.
What's the number?
It's resolution number 34. Would you like to read it, Bill?
I propose resolution number 34 to the town board, authorizing execution of a release regarding Central Hudson audit results. Whereas the town engaged Computel consultants to conduct a streetlight audit, and whereas as a result of the streetlight audit, Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation has proposed to pay to the town of Red Hook the amount of $15,376.24 to resolve billing errors for the 6-year period ending June 2017, and subject to execution of the release. So whereas the audit resulted in a proposed refund of $2,034.71 for one account and a refund of $13,341.53 for another account. Now therefore be it resolved, for the total of $15,376.24, that the town board hereby approves the execution of a release of Central Hudson in the form on file with the town clerk. I so move.
Second.
Thank you both very much. Any further discussion?
I'm glad we did this.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. And as you saw by the email that I shared with you, a lot of documents, including the now up-to-the-minute inventory. So Harry, I hope you're already starting to work on the LED equivalents for our existing streetlight
Yeah,
inventory.
We'll be using candles.
We'll be using candles, okay. Well, you'll be,
Foot candles, I think, is the official.
right. Right, I think Harry wants us to use the other kind of candle. Apparently, that was something that you used to light up homes years ago. So look for more on streetlights, perhaps at our next meeting, or certainly the second meeting in July. And we'll be utilizing you, Harry, for a lot of the design questions, so get ready. Okay, we have item number 5, resolution to authorize engineering. So as you know, we are quickly working to try and get our tennis court renovation project underway. We have a couple of weeks in August that we are looking to do the construction. We have grant money coming through the SAM grant, the $50,000. We've applied to the United States Tennis Association for another $20,000. We now have in front of us a resolution to go out and hire one of our engineering firms to perform this scope of services related to the tennis court rehab. And we have a lot of expertise with these folks. Ryan's with this firm now and has done a lot of sports fields, tennis courts, so on and so forth. And there's the estimate of the fees associated with doing all the work, including related to the grants, the permits, coordinating with the contractors, doing the design work, preparing the site plan. Does anyone have any questions about the scope of services? Okay. If not, Harry, I believe you're the liaison to the rec commission?
Harry and I both are.
Okay, Sarah, would you like to read one?
Sure.
Share the
Share the load.
load.
Sure, so this is resolution number 35.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing task order for Teague and Bond Engineering Professional Services regarding Rec Park Tennis Court rehabilitation. Whereas the town of Red Hook has determined there is a need for rehabilitation of tennis courts at the town of Rec Park. And whereas TMB Engineering has prepared a scope of services for engineering services for the tennis court rehabilitation project dated June 28th. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Red Hook, Dutchess County, New York hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor or in his absence or unavailability the deputy supervisor to execute a task order authorizing Teague and Bond to provide engineering services for the Rec Park Tennis Court Rehabilitation Project at a fee not to exceed $18,000. And I so move.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the resolution passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we are on to item number 6, which is a discussion of some recommendations coming out of the Communications Committee. And Sarah, you're the liaison for that, so would you be kind enough to get us started?
Sure, so I just handed out to you right as the meeting was starting, so I'm sorry it wasn't early enough for you to look at it much, but a report on our work, so I'll just sort of skim through that, but it's right there in front of you for you to look at. Also in your folder under this tab is a copy of our draft RFP for the proposed website upgrade. So I'll just go through the report and then we can talk about anything you want to talk about. So basically I wrote this up to try to summarize what the committee has been working on since it was started in January. There are 5 people currently on the committee, and we've had another person meeting with us, but she's now decided not to stay in Red Hook, so we're still looking for 2 more people if anybody's interested. Yeah, it's too bad. So basically we had 3 things we were going to try to work on, looking at what an upgrade to the town website would look like, and an update to the existing social media policy, to consider whether it makes sense to have some town-wide accounts, for example, a Facebook account for the town, and perhaps Twitter, Instagram, or some other ones we talked about. And then just generally consideration of other ways the town communicates with residents, residents communicate with town bodies, and so forth. So the main work we've done so far is on the website. We determined that that was a top priority. And so that's the RFP you see before you. And basically we've done a number of things. We talked to Dick Wambach, who's the current webmaster. We just looked at the site ourselves and kind of made our own observations. We did a survey of town employees and committees and boards and departments to hear what they were thinking about what a new website might have to offer, and we looked at lots of other municipal websites from cities to villages and everywhere in between, including the 2 villages in our town and a lot of neighboring ones, and others across the country and across the state, just all kinds, just to get some ideas of what's kind of going on out there in the world of municipal websites. We've talked to a few vendors just to try to get a sense of like what they offer and what the process would be like. And so we came up with this list of features that we thought a new website, so the long and short of it is everybody pretty much agrees that we need a new site. I forget what Dick told me, but it's something like 15 years since the site was sort of refreshed
Okay.
in pretty much any way. You know, and I want to just say right from the start that he is such a great asset to the town. He keeps everything updated. So this is not at all, none of this is a reflection on Dick's work. It's simply an opportunity for the town to look at a significant way that we communicate with residents and, you know, upgrade it to be, you know, a better tool for all of us to use. And so there are a number of features that websites today feature and are really great tools for communicating, and those include things like e-notification, so you could sign up to be notified by text or by email if, say, a bridge was out, or your road was being paved, or the rec park was having the tennis courts redone, or, you know, there's all manner, and you could choose. So maybe you're not interested in the rec park, but you are interested in roads, or maybe you're interested in the water department, or you don't live in the water district, so you don't want to know when the water, you know, bills are being released or whatever. So e-notifications was one thing that we saw many towns are now offering that seemed like a really interesting feature to us. And then other types of electronic communication, so possibly a blog area or an e-newsletter that again people could subscribe to through email. Request submissions, so although we obviously list our email addresses for people to contact us, there would be sort of a more clear form for ways that people could perhaps report a tree down, or, you know, complain about a dog issue, or, you know, whatever the thing that they want to talk about is, there would be some other ways for them to do that. And so anyway, there's a whole list of things there that we've suggested. I don't want to take up your time reading all of them, but basically they're all kind of things that we noticed that other places seem to be doing that seemed like good options to us. And then, you know, most of the current features we would keep, but perhaps reorganize to be more streamlined. So that's what the RFP is about, and that is sort of in RFP language, but we can talk about it more if you want to. And then quickly, we've also reviewed the existing social media policy, which was really created just to deal with the possibility that committees might want to create Facebook pages. And so we're looking now at what other towns have for more like town-wide Facebook and other types of social media.
Email
And,
lists.
you know, we're not ready yet to bring a full policy before you, but we will be soon. And then, you know, my thought is that we could at least discuss and perhaps approve a policy without necessarily launching right into the wide world of Facebook, but, you know, we can talk about what that would look like. And the main issue there, I think, is not so much figuring out what a policy would look like that works for us, it's how we would maintain it, who would update it, and that kind of thing. That, to me, is sort of the big question. So you know, the only other thing I would say about other recommendations so far is that we are aware that these things we're talking about really only apply to people in the town who use computers, use internet, and there's a lot of people who don't. And I don't want you to think that the communications committee isn't aware of that and isn't, you know, planning to also address issues that other people want us to talk about, and we can look at those once we've kind of gotten through these two bigger projects. But we started with those two. And I guess the other thing I would say is just with all of these things, we're trying to be very cognizant of not creating, you know, a ton more work for any one particular department or person. I'm really trying to figure out what's a solution that would work within what we kind of already have as our structures.
Good.
Great job.
Any questions about the RFP? Ted thinks we could send it out as early as July 21st if you're comfortable with us requesting these proposals.
I haven't had a chance to review it just
Yeah.
because it came in today, but, you know, certainly we'll take it up at the next meeting
Okay.
on July 10th. Give us all a chance to do it. It's a good segue to the next item on the agenda, but yeah, some of the things you mentioned, the county's already doing with their Duchess delivery, and I think you mentioned email and social media, but also texting. You can get text alerts. So yeah, there's a lot of technology that's happened in the last 15, 20 years since we've updated our site. And we certainly want to consider how we can make it more user-friendly for our folks at home, fill out a form, maybe even make payments, whatever we can figure out that works, and without overloading our departments as well with this new technology. But we at least take a look at it and see if it's a good match for us.
I think the county is one of the possible vendors that we
That's
could
right.
send the RFP to if we choose to, because they do offer a lot of those services that we have listed here.
That is correct. Okay, anything else on communications committee recommendations? All right. Very good, and item number 7 is a discussion. New York State Shared Services Plan, so it's a segue from what Sarah was speaking about, is one item that is being discussed, but for the folks at home who may not know, or even on the town board, the governor initiated a mandated shared services plan that is done on a county-by-county basis. The county executive of each of the 62 counties is charged with convening meetings with all the town supervisors, all the mayors, to get their input on potential shared service projects into the future, things to study, and to try and understand whether or not there could be some tax savings for our residents, perhaps even better service delivery. And so what I'm showing to you today is just sort of the result of a few meetings, what the supervisors and mayors of each of the communities have expressed interest in joining together to try and study whether or not there are potentials to work with one or more municipalities on these various topics to see whether or not projects could occur in the future, and they include some of the applications we've already submitted through the county, and some options that are just being thought about. And so if you look on the list on the left, there is plenty of things related to electronic content management, that's number 24, shared website development, 25.
What's the difference between a check and an X? It doesn't say.
Yes, so the X is that municipality is not at the moment interested in looking at a shared service in that topic. So that means they either have it or are not interested in going that route.
We
The
have no
check
X's.
is, well, we have no X's, we have a lot of question marks, so. If in the course of the next week or 10 days, if you see some of the question marks in the town of Red Hook that you think we should explore, please reach out to me, and I will, see if we can be included. Now, before you go ahead and say, oh, check off all those boxes, we have to come up with estimates for savings if we were to work with one of these other municipalities. So it's not without work every time you check one of those boxes.
Oh, a check is something we're interested in.
Exactly right. At least interested in enough to find out what the potential may be, how we might work with another community, whether or not there's savings. It's not necessarily something we're committed to, something we've expressed at least enough interest in exploring. And this is, again, it's just the way the legislation was written. It's just the supervisors and mayors of these communities. School districts were invited to join in as well. But I did want to share with you what all is being discussed. And if you have, more ideas, please, put them forward between now and July 7th, if you would.
So is there anything that shows what we're already doing?
No, because
Check, right?
that's not the purpose of the exercise. The purpose of the exercise is to put down anything that we are interested in doing or don't have a formal arrangement and have been informally doing, because that is also considered a potential tax saving.
I agree
Well,
with you,
like-
Teresa. It seems like you should have a way to say, like, you're already
Right.
sharing paving or something like
Well-
that.
well, right
because-
here.
That's not on this spreadsheet. That
Yeah.
is being discussed as part of the report
Yeah.
that'll come out, but that's not what this spreadsheet.
I'm just
is.
saying,
Oh, let-
I'm not
ahead.
criticizing you,
Just
Robert,
say-
I'm just saying, that because then you'd have, if you have an X, then it seems like maybe we're saying we're not willing, but it might mean that we're already doing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not, there's no reason behind each X. It's just to say that community is either doing it, not interested in doing it at this time, or what have you. Every time you check a box, you have to supply an analysis of what you think may occur if you join with one or more municipalities in that topic.
The state came up with this checklist of 33 things, Robert?
No, we did during our meeting, and I should tell you, these projects are only projects that the municipalities want to be the lead on. The county has a whole nother list that it is exploring, that if we join in, like Duchess Delivery, there are plenty of projects that they are gonna take the lead on. These are the ones that municipalities, local municipalities are going to explore.
I just want to mention the salt purchasing cooperative via the county. We initiated that this past year.
Yeah, it doesn't count. If we've got an arrangement with them, on the salt, which we do, we have
Check.
an IMA or MOU, We have a formalized arrangement with them?
Yes.
So we're already doing that.
We're already,
We should change it to an X instead of a.
We did it last year, and it's continuing
X
this
means we're
year.
not
yeah, it doesn't,
No, it
it
also
doesn't
means we're
count.
already
It's
doing
something
it.
that you, that you,
I don't think so.
No,
Are
next
not
means we're not
already doing
interested
it.
in it now.
Or that we're already doing it.
yes, if you're already doing it, it doesn't go on the list.
So we should put an X there for
Yeah.
the salt purchasing.
Yeah.
Who's we that does the list of 33? Association of Supervisors or what?
Yes, these are the supervisors and mayors who came up with these 33 things. The idea of this process is just to get out of the chief executive of all the municipalities, any thoughts that they might have, to put in the plan so it can be studied. Ultimately, what will happen is the governor will take all of these county plans, he will look at the projects, and then he'll appropriate some funding, you know, with each county plan. And so it behooves us to get on the list with several ideas, and so that's what we're doing.
Hey, once
So
again,
we've got-
what's the difference between these 3 marks? Just tell us what the 3 marks mean.
The check is, the municipality is interested in potentially joining with one or more municipalities in this topic to study whether or not there can be tax savings and/or improved services if they were to work together on this topic. The X is, at this time, they are not interested in doing it, either because they're already doing it.
See, that doesn't make sense. That's like Teresa says, why do we have a check for the first one when it should be an X?
It-
apparently? Is that right?
It makes perfect sense. He's trying to incentivize new shared services. So if it's already a existing shared service,
Yeah.
it doesn't qualify for new funding.
Right, so it should be, we're just gonna change that to an X, that's all.
Well, like 22, the sheriff fuel farm,
I
you
mean,
buy
we're
it on
gonna
state
revise
bid,
this, right? Or,
and
I
you
mean,
share
this
it
is
with
just
the
for
schools
discussion.
and the
This
fire
is not for
companies,
discussion,
right?
this is not for the town board.
Number
No,
22.
I mean our
Is already
specific
in.
line.
This
Yeah.
is not,
Fuel
this
This-
is not for the town
I know.
board to revise.
This
This is
column?
just me sharing
Yeah.
with you.
No, but our
what the
column,
municipality-
the town of Red Hook's column?
It doesn't, it's not a town board initiative.
No, I know that, I
Yeah.
know, but.
I'm sharing with
How
you.
did the town of Red Hook come up with their column of X's and check marks? That's what I'm asking.
No X's, all checks.
There are checks or question marks.
There's a
Yeah,
bunch of
so
questions.
who
that's-
came up with that?
I did.
Okay, so are we revising that, or is that?
No, you can submit to me, I'm responsible for these
Yeah,
things,
that's what I'm
including the
saying.
analysis.
Yeah, are you
So
gonna
if you have
revise
some
them
idea,
or not, this column?
well, I haven't made any determinations on the question marks, so
Yeah.
I'm asking for your input to see if there's
Yeah.
some of these question marks you think we should
Right.
pursue. But no, in full disclosure, I might ask you to chip in to do some of the analysis.
Yeah, sure.
Because we have to prove that there will be some,
Right.
savings potential.
But you're sharing this with us because this isn't set in stone yet as far as our responses.
I'm only sharing this with you to keep you up to date on what's happening.
Yeah.
Really, and to get your input.
Right.
If there's something that you all would like included, I'd like to, incorporate that into my.
Bless you.
Bless you not, bless you, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been too fast to stop it.
So take a look, think about it, questions, emails, whatever. And we can certainly talk through each one of these things, but these are some of the things, I just thought you would be interested. When we all got together through all these meetings at Locust Grove, it was really interesting to see how other municipalities joined in our ideas and vice versa. And it's been really good for creating, an atmosphere of
Yeah.
I mean, we should,
coming up with ideas.
why don't we just check everything?
No, you can't check everything
So we
because
have
you
to
have to
provide an
submit an analysis. Unless you're willing to do an analysis of how you're working with those other municipalities on a shared service between now and July 7th.
So do we need to?
But if we're already doing it, it's an X, though, anyway, so a lot of these questions and
Robert,
stuff
do
are
we need
X's
to,
essentially.
to change all of our question marks to either an X or a
You don't need to
check?
do any,
We
you
can
don't
just
need to
leave
do
it.
anything.
We can leave the question marks. as
Just
they are.
if you have some ideas on some of those question marks that you maybe think we should explore, let me know. And then we can see if we can turn them into a check instead of a question, okay? Make sense?
No.
All right.
But I mean, as far as like shared assessor or something, my goodness, if somebody comes up with a proposal, then hopefully the town of Red Hook would look at it. But I mean, right now, it's unrealistic from our point of view. But what do we put, a check or an X there? I mean, we should really encourage somebody to pursue that, but I don't know that it'd be the town of Red Hook. We don't have an
Okay, well, that's
analysis
the
as to
kind, that's the
why.
kind of feedback, if you wanna give me on assessor, I mean, I thought, you know, we had advertised for a full-time assessor, so, you know, if that's the kind of feedback that you have on that topic, send it along, and the rest of you send it along, and then we'll take a look at that issue, whether we can join with some of those neighboring townships to do a shared assessor.
Several times we discussed sharing an assessor, but, you know, we have surrounding towns that already have the Troika system.
So
which you
can I
can't
just
break.
ask, let's just use the assessor as an example. So
Yes, ma'am.
if we put a check mark there, are we, the town of Red Hook, responsible to provide an analysis? Or
There's a
who would-
lead municipality, so
Okay.
right now, you know, two of the projects are the shared justice court.
Right.
Right, so the town of Red Hook is the lead in those, so I'm responsible for coming up with the numbers, so I'm meeting with the mayor and we're coming up with the numbers that may be associated with that initiative. So you have to identify your partners out of that grid, and you, have to submit a description of the project, how it
Well,
might
so
unfold,
with
what are
that
the
Beacon
tax
and
savings.
LaGrange do the shared assessor thing, we could just join them. If they're already got one, right, they're working on it.
If they're working together on it, that doesn't necessarily mean they're working together with us. Like, you look at the municipal solar farm thing, we're working with the Village of Red Hook, we're not working with those other municipalities, they're partnering, neighboring municipalities for that project as well. So,
Motor vehicle repair, I mean, you've got most of the motor vehicles.
right,
Is that
that's,
something we would share with anybody?
Not at this point.
no,
right?
you wouldn't do, motor vehicle repair with the county, I think that one was.
The motor vehicle repair seems to be moving more and more direction, taking it back to to whomever sold it. It's getting very high tech. And you have to have a computer before you can fix half the machinery, most of the machinery we're buying.
All right, so the point of that exercise was to let you know what's being discussed and to solicit some input before, and this will be an annual thing that we'll be required to do. So if you have more ideas for this year, for next year,
Well, Ken, so if you're already doing the shared services, you can't use that.
cannot use that.
It's off the
That's
table.
whole point, if you already have an arrangement, this is to incentivize more shared services. Because obviously we are doing plenty of share. Yeah.
Should be an X instead of a check.
Yeah.
Well, I would just point out that a bunch of towns near us and villages are interested in the shared assessor. So if we could not
Yeah.
be the lead on it, but participate in it, I think might be worth our
Okay.
time, I don't know.
Okay,
They had a
we
long
have to
history of
identify a
attempting
partner.
to share it, but
Okay,
we have.
I'm not opposed to that.
It seems like positions like that and I'm looking at county procurement specialist is another one that I could maybe see, rather than each town having their own, maybe makes sense to share, I don't know.
All right, well, shoot me an email as soon as you can, any ideas you have, so we can get it.
But so
Make
our
that
list of
selection.
things for this year has to be submitted by July 7th.
That's right, with the partner, with the projected savings. That's why we shouldn't overload it. We're gonna need new ideas for next year too, by the way.
So
So
before
we-
July 7th, do you need to change those question marks to whatever they need to be?
I
or
don't need,
answer-
we don't need to do it, that's just a grid.
just leave
It
them.
was really just for you all to see what's being thought about.
So you can just leave the question marks there.
Yeah, it's really, it's just a reference to the material. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 8 is board reports. And we do have one board report, that's the planning board report.
Yeah, I know the zoning board hasn't been a meeting since our last meeting when we gave him, Robert, the last
Okay.
one. but-
And on the planning board, I think we have Danielle on the big screen. And it says Sarah to report the town of Red Hook Planning Board report for June of 2017.
Okay, so the planning board met twice in June and reviewed 6 applications. Looks like none of them have concluded yet, including a revision to an approved site plan for 2 storage buildings. I'll revise it from 2 to 1 storage building and 1 garage on Countryside Storage. An application to construct a 20 square foot addition to an existing Victorian era building. That's the Bard Behringer House. An application to convey 3.46 acres of land from a 12-ish acre parcel to a 19-ish acre parcel in the RD3 zoning district. Application for a lot line alteration between a 12-acre parcel and an adjacent 9-acre parcel in a landlocked, it's a landlocked parcel. Yeah, it resulted in some interesting other things, including a vacant flag lot in the RD3 zoning district. An application to install a bypass generation micro hydropower facility on an existing dam pump house located in the Waterfront Conservation District. That's Annandale Hydropower Facility Site Plan. And I believe we're working on some zoning that would allow that, but that's just, they're starting to review that. And then an application to renovate and expand an existing 10-room motel to a 20-room motel in the RD3 district. That's the Schaefer's Hudson Valley application. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Okay, we have Jim, Building and Zoning, if you'd be kind enough to summarize for folks.
Bill?
No, Jim,
Okay.
Building and Zoning.
Okay, the monthly report for June of 2017, there were 32 permits issued, 33 inspections, 26 COCCs, 1 complaint follow-up on, and a total revenue of $6,817.
Okay, thank you very much. Sarah, we have a monthly dog report.
Alrighty, this is the dog report for May. We had 2 nuisance dogs complaints and 1 cat complaint. Yeah, just the usual wildlife and dog issues. So just again, a reminder to please keep your dogs fenced and leashed, and be courteous to neighbors and other residents as far as keeping your dogs under control. Thank you.
Okay. Bill, police report?
Yes, the village of Red Hook from May to June. The past month, they investigated a total of 71 incidents for the reporting period. They had 9 arrests during that time, and they issued 29 tickets throughout the town of Red Hook.
Okay. All right. Harry, we have a purchasing report.
Yes, there's a fair amount of activity here. The sidewalk project is underway. The electrical vehicle charging station is scheduled for installation on July 19th. John's been working with the United States Tennis Association as a source of a grant to help us in restoring the tennis courts. Sarah's working with an RFP on the upgrade to the website, and the water board has as was told to us earlier. That's on tonight's record.
We have 2 of these, right?
Okay, thank you very much, Harry, and I just, ministerial, but I think the date of July 19th is actually the rain date for the installation of the charging stations. I think it's July 17th. That is the first date that we're hoping to do the installation. Jim, a water district report. I think you could pretty much summarize this one since we had the full Megillah earlier.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the same report that I read in our last meeting. but-
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well then you don't need to read
If
it.
you'd like to. go
No,
with
that's
that.
okay, Jim, we won't make you redo it. All right, do we have any other reports, communications, committee report? Is there more that you wanted to add, Sarah?
Nope, that's it. That's all I
Okay.
got.
Bill, you have your intermunicipal task force report?
Well, according to the 151st report, June of 2017, the intermunicipal task force continued in meetings in June of 2017, weekly meetings to review the proposed zoning language to regulate food trucks in the town of Red Hook, and continued to discuss proposed zoning regarding solar energy, as well as amendments to the Hamlet Business District adjacent to the hamlet of Upper Red Hook, in a proposed draft updated by Green Plan to June 7th, 2017.
Very good. Harry, there is a rec commission report. I dare you to figure out what to
Oh, you're,
tell us about.
I'm signing something else right now, but, well, if I read this, it's gonna take an hour and a half.
Okay.
So basically, the sign-ups for all the summer programs are complete. We had kind of a late initiated program, which was for cross-country running, and those, just about everyone in town knows Declan, who initiated it, and it looks like there's a number of youngsters signed up as a result of probably of us having a first-class team in the high school.
Okay.
So he's here, willing to and encourage everybody to sign up and do it, so that's a new program this year. But the summer programs, what I'm reading here is the summer programs are ready to go.
Terrific, yeah, and I understand that there were 209 kids on the first day, which is a record by 25% or something. So Jen Norris is gonna earn her very small salary as the summer recreation director.
I was just saying, in case anybody's watching, that wants to know this, that you can still sign up for programs throughout the rest of the period. I think it's till July 28th. So if you didn't sign up for some reason, you can still come and just fill out the permission slips.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much, Harry. Do we have any other committee?
There's a tree committee, if you want it.
I don't have the tree committee report. If somebody else does, that would
Yes,
be.
I have one.
I have one in my hand, I think.
All right.
It
It's-
says
yeah,
Tree Preservation Commission.
I'll read it.
Okay,
So we
you have it?
Yeah, they
Okay.
discussed potential fall 2017 projects, including removal of unhealthy trees and shrubs near the rec park pool sign area and replanting other bushes and trees, and then removal of invasives near Pitcher Lane, with new trees planted on both sides of the road. And they've discussed a tree inventory for the village sidewalk project. I'm assuming that they mean the project that's
town?
really mainly in the town. Yeah. So they're looking at which trees to replant, because there will be trees planted along that sidewalk. I know many residents were concerned when they saw the trees that were cut down for this project, and just to clarify that those were in the right of way or in some way obstructing where the sidewalk crew would need to work, but they will be replanted. They did some pruning in the rec park and near St. Margaret's, and I think that's about it. And they just reported on the success of their educational programming with Mill Road School this spring.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. Any other committee reports? All right, if not, we have just a little bit of correspondence before we go into attorney-client executive session.
Can I just say that we have a start date for the paving project on Mill Road,
Okay.
and it will be July 6th. We
Okay.
have a sign up that says July 5th, but it'll be sometime after July 5th. Will be the first part of it, will be the fiber mat.
Okay.
And then in August, we'll put up a construction sign for the Nova Chip, which is the thin pavement layer that will go over that fiber mat.
Okay.
And I will be bringing information to the next meeting about the need for a plow truck, because we have 2 international trucks that did not pass inspection due to cracked frames. One was a regular plow truck for the route, the other was a spare. So we not only don't have a spare, we also are short a truck for the route. There was a truck planned for 2018 purchase, but they take quite a few months to build. So I'll bring all that information to the next meeting, estimates and finance opportunities, and just something for you to think about. I know there's no snow out there now, but there will be eventually.
Those old trucks, the Sprinter was used for parts, is that the last of those, the older ones then?
It's the last of the older ones. Yep, they're
96, right?
1996
Yeah.
Internationals.
Yep.
And they have about 80,000 miles on each of them. So,
The chassis is a function of time rather than mileage in terms of it
right, being
rusting
used
away.
long.
Good though, right?
And
Salt.
the frame had been welded. There's a term called DOT welding that a company can do to repair it. But they had already done that, and they said that it can't be fixed at this point. So as soon as we found out that one was not going to be working, we brought the other one up for inspection. And that one can't be used either. So we could sell them to a private entity to be used in farming or, you know, just on off-road purposes, which we'll discuss when I give you the information on the cost of the truck that needs to be replaced.
Very good. Thank you very much, Teresa. Just a couple pieces of correspondence from Dutchess County, one from the legislature notifying us of a public hearing on parcels that are interested in joining our Ag District number 20. There are none in the town of Red Hook, so nothing interesting with that correspondence. Our county executive, Mark Molinaro, writes to us that the home rule request for the extension of the 3/4% of our sales tax is pending approval by the state senate and assembly, and he urges us to contact our representatives to ensure that that sales tax extender is in fact passed. Is there any other correspondence? Okay, hearing none. I did realize that in my thank yous to everyone regarding the anchorages, I forgot Panda. And I am remiss in not mentioning that Panda was early on involved in preparing some videos for the public to help engage the public. And, you know, we really thank them, and it sort of underscores the importance of having a public access channel to find out what's being proposed in your community. And so we want you all to know that folks getting involved obviously can only happen if they are informed. So we thank you very much for the volunteers at Panda for your great work. Okay, anything else? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion that we go into attorney-client and executive session to discuss the hiring of a particular individual. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you.